Sam Darley here, and tonight I'm going to recap the Houston Texans and the Denver Broncos. I'm going to talk about the Houston Astros beating Zach Greinke, and and then I'm going to talk about the Texans quarterback situation. So I'm going to get started with the Astros beating Zach Greinke. They beat him 3-1. They've already won the series. They've won the 2 of the 3 series on this homestand. Right now the Angels are currently playing the Toronto Blue Jays, so right now the Astros are 4 games up on Toronto. What a night for the Astros. I mean, coming into this series, I was really worried about them. They had to, they Fire's no-hitter last night. Tonight, they held the Dodgers to just 1 run. Tomorrow they get Clayton Kershaw, but they've already won the series. They could go for the sweep. It might help. It would really help them if they got the sweep. Finish up with a 7-3 homestand. It's been a good homestand. I think the only blip in the radar is the Tampa Bay Rays series, where they split the 4-game set. But a really good bounce back series win. And then it still comes down to the road for them. After tomorrow's game, they head to New York to take on the Yankees at Yankee Stadium, and then they'll take on the Twins next weekend. So with that being said, my concerns for the Astros are no longer. The Astros improved to 42-20. I don't have the numbers in front of me. Sorry. Should probably get the numbers in front of me before I talk about the home record, huh? That's my bad. That's my mistake. I'll be better. I'll remember that next time. But the Astros improved to their 20 games above 500, but 11 games under 500 on the season. They're 11 games under 500 on the road, 20 games over 500, 20 plus over 500 at home. If they get straight out that road record, they will clinch the AL West. I want to make that perfectly clear. If they were better on the road, they'd probably already have it in their hands. They'd probably be doing the Kansas City Royals cruise control. But tonight was a huge night. I mean, I didn't expect. First of all, this is a series of expecting the unexpected. Because I didn't expect Fires to have a no-hitter. And let me explain the Fire situation, the whole glove thing. That's not pine tar. That's either sweat or something spilled onto his jersey, because if it's pine tar, it's gonna, he put the glove to his chest. And when he did that, when he pulled the glove away from his chest, if that was pine tar, it would have been a residue on the jersey. So it wasn't pine tar, it was sweat. So Dodger fans can quit crying about that. They can start crying about the fact that San Francisco Giants are going to be barreling, probably breathing right on their team's necks heading into tomorrow's games. They could be a half game behind. And by the way, it's a 4-game series with the Giants, so they could still be pitching either Kershaw or Greinke in that series. So the Giants didn't totally avoid them. I thought they did. I thought it was a 3-game series. That's my bad. But for the Dodgers, their offense has been anemic in this series, and they've actually mirrored the Houston Astros. If you look at their statistics, they fell 11 games under 500 on the road. The Astros are also 11 games under 500 on the road. They're really good at home. The Astros are really good at home. The Dodgers lead the National League in home runs. The Astros lead the American League. Actually, lead all of baseball in home runs. The only difference between the two teams is the bullpen. The Astros have a bit of a better bullpen, though it got kind of hairy in tonight's ninth inning with a man on. A 3-1 game and a home run hitting Jock Peterson coming up. I thought, whoa, this is going to get scary. Obviously, the biggest difference between the two teams is the Astros steal a lot of bases, the Dodgers do not. But it was a big series win for the Astros. They'll go for the sweep tomorrow. It'll be Clayton Kershaw versus Lance McCullers. McCullers is a good young right-handed pitcher for the Astros. He's trying to make either the rotation or at least end up in the bullpen. He's going to be a heck of a pitcher. I mean, he's just 21 years old. The Astros have a boatload of talent. They sent down very talented Preston Tucker. I don't agree with that. They could have put Tucker at first base. They could have sent down Chris Carter. I'd rather have Tucker than Carter, but I'm not the one who makes that decision. The Astros, to me, they could probably, they're going to go the 6-man rotation. I don't agree with it, but then again, after Fire's no hitter, it's going to benefit them because they could skip his start, put in, have a spot start with Velasquez or even McCullers. But the Astros, again, like I said, it's a great series win for them. A big series win for them. And now for the Houston Texans and the Denver Broncos preseason game. Well, to be honest here, I'll be upfront here. Commentator Spencer Tillman said it best during the course of the game. It was very Kubiak paced, meaning Kubiak, it was a slow paced game. It was a methodical paced game. It was a good defensive battle, and by the way, that was without J.J. Watt and Vince Wilfork playing for the Texans, and Jadeveon Clowney didn't play for the Texans either tonight. It doesn't really tonight didn't really show anybody in the Texans quarterback competition, anybody taking a step forward. That's kind of scary because the Texans really didn't give enough protection for their quarterbacks. I saw consistently the pocket breaking down, and they're not scramblers. The Texans' offensive line has got to protect the quarterback. Has got to keep the pocket clean. Hoyer can move around a little bit, but it's still you've got to protect. You've got to keep a clean pocket for these quarterbacks. But that's what I was saying about the pace of the game. This does not fit Peyton Manning. This is not. This concerns me for Peyton Manning. Their defense is going to be probably number one in the NFL next year, in 2015, excuse me. But Peyton Manning likes to put points on the board, likes to go quickly. He was very out of rhythm tonight, and they were going pretty slow. Like the pace of the game was very, like I said, it was very methodical. That's not Peyton's style. That's not Peyton Manning. That's not how Peyton Manning operates offensively. He operates fast. It's slants and bubble screens and the occasional deep pass. He's not a big time deep ball thrower anymore. He doesn't have the arm strength to get it down the field. He does. To me, I still have concerns about him making it through the entire season. I have concerns about the backup quarterback situation. Their third stringer Semien had a really nice game tonight. Osweiler had a nice game, but again, it was a defensive struggle. And the preseason tonight's game did not really push anybody in a Hoyer Mallet competition. Did not push any of them to be the favorite, to be the starting quarterback for the Texans. The Texans are going to be in every single game with their defense. I already know that. Like I said, the Broncos have a good defense. Shane Ray, I saw a tweet that Shane Ray was not injured. Well, of course he was injured. He had to be helped off the field. He was hurt. Denver doesn't concern me defensively. I tell you right now. I gotta look at the Kansas City Chiefs the other day. Alex Smith has got to grow a pair. He's got to take chances down the field because their touchdown, them moving the ball down the field was not consisting of 20-yard plus passes. There may be little take shots down the field when the regular season starts, but they play Houston's defense, and then they're playing against Denver's defense twice next year. Dinking and dunking is not going to cut the cheese against Houston's defense and Denver's defense. You got to take chances. You got to take the top off the defense, and I didn't see that at all in Kansas City's preseason game. But it's just a preseason. You never know. You don't know this doesn't really reflect anything of what's going to happen in the regular season. It's going to show who's going to make the team. I'll tell you right now who's not going to make the Houston Texans. That's Darryl Morris. I don't see him being a starting cornerback. Keyshawn Martin came up with some nice plays late in the game. It's going to be hard for him to make the Texans. He really struggled. He's really struggled in the return game, and again the entire special teams unit for the Texans. But it's not blocking, and on the defensive side of special teams, you're getting downfield and forcing guys to fair catch it. They're not getting any protection for the punt and kick returner. So they're always having to fair catch it. They're just not a good special teams team, the Texans. And they've never been that way. They've never had a good special teams unit. That needs a lot of work. And the offense, as far as I'm concerned, the quarterbacks need to prove that they can beat these good defenses, because the Texans are going to start with the Chiefs. That's a good defense. They've got the Buffalo Bills. They've got the Miami Dolphins. I've yet to see the Colts. Some of the Colts signed Frank Cole, and they got Robert Mathis back. So their defense looks pretty tough. But again, we'll see when the season starts. So these quarterbacks whoever the quarterback is for the Texans, they're going to have to be able to beat good defenses. They're going to have to find a way to move the ball, to move the offense consistently down the field against good defenses. They did very well against San Francisco, but San Francisco, again, did not put all their starters on defense. Tonight, Denver did, and you saw the quarterbacks. They didn't necessarily struggle, but they weren't really good. It was a pretty average night. And again, one thing I saw from the quarterbacks is they didn't get a clean enough pocket. So many guys there were guys coming unblocked. The offensive line got pushed. The Texans have got to be tougher up front. They've got to be a lot stronger, a lot nastier, because as far as I'm concerned, if Mallet, Hoyer, or Savage, whoever the starting quarterback is, whoever that guy is going to be, they are going to need at least a pretty clean pocket. And tonight they didn't get one. They got a clean pocket, but the defense doesn't have to have sacks for your offensive line to be considered bad. The offensive line doesn't have to give up sacks necessarily. But for them to be bad, you gotta have a clean pocket. You look at the Dallas Cowboys with their offensive line, and of course that's the measuring stick. But that's how offensive line play should be. Your quarterback has got to have time. Has got to have consistently clean pocket. At the start of the season, the Texans faced Tom Bahali, and Justin Houston. And then they faced Rex Ryan's defense. And then they faced Adama Kitsu and the Dolphins. And then they faced Robert Mathis and Frank Cole and the Colts twice. So they've got to get their butts together offensively, because that's on the offensive line, because if they don't, their quarterbacks are going to not make it through the season. Point blank, period. To me, people put too much stock in preseason. I don't take notice of winning and losing. I just want to see how good the guy, who could make the team and how good they could look. But then again, how good the Texans offense could look. But I will say this: the receiving core for the Texans has to be number 1, DeAndre Hopkins. The number 2 receiver should be Jalen Strong. I like Nate Washington. I just feel he doesn't have blow by defender speed. He's got good hands. He can make the big catch when you need it. Jalen Strong's a little faster and a little bit more athletic than Nate Washington. The slot receiver, the third receiver, should be Cecil Shorts. And when I'm saying this is because I feel like the Texans need to play fast. They need to be up-tempo to really be a successful offense. And tonight they were very slow and methodical. That's not going to win them games. Their offense has to go crazy fast. The tempo has to be there. I didn't like the tempo. I'm sure Bill O'Brien didn't like it either. There's a lot of mistakes made on both sides of the ball. Hard Knocks is going to be really interesting because I think O'Brien's going to be. If you think O'Brien curses a lot, dude, practice. Wait till you see Hard Knocks on Tuesday after a pretty miserable preseason game, and he wants to win too. He's not like. I watched him walk off the field. He was pretty upset. He was pretty mad that the Texans did not do well in that final situation, and I think it was more the final situation. You know, they had a minute left. They had 2 timeouts remaining. They ended up burning both of them because the guys did not pay attention to the situation. Going forward, the Texans have got a lot of work to do on offense. Their defense will keep them in every single game. Their special teams unit is going to have to improve and be pretty good. The return game is where they are so weak. They can kick the ball, they can punt the ball, they can stop the other team from running it back, but they cannot get anything on punt returns and kick returns. Special teams, offense, defense, the whole thing needs a little bit more. It needs a little more work. But I think they'll be really good this year. I do. I think both. I think the Denver Broncos are going to have an outstanding defense. I just have major questions about Kubiak and Peyton working together. Can Peyton realistically operate a methodical offense? I mean, it's Peyton Manning. I'm sure he can operate any offense, but can he? Does he really like playing that slow? I'm sure when the regular season starts, he'll probably want to go faster, and I'm sure after tonight, he's probably thinking, yeah, we need to speed it up. And they had a couple of drops by the former Texan tight ends. Realistically, I looked at the Denver Broncos tonight, and I thought, wow, if they had Arian Foster, Andre Johnson, Dwayne Brown, and Chris Myers, they'd complete the Texans' offense that Kubiak had here in Houston. There going Daniels, Joel Dreesen, James Casey at the tight end position. Demaryius Thomas holding out. That's looking like it's gonna bite him on the butt. He doesn't look like he's in shape, at least football shape. At least in my eyes, he didn't. But both teams are gonna have really good defenses, and like I said, J.J. Watt, Vince Wilfork, and Jadeveon Clowney did not play tonight for Houston, and they still had a pretty good defensive game. I don't not to put too much stock in tonight's preseason game, because it's just a preseason. It's just preseason game number 2. They'll have game number 3 in New Orleans next Saturday. In New Orleans, they'll also finish up preseason in Dallas. But see, the reason I was hoping the quarterbacks would play well tonight is because the Broncos threw their number 1s tonight, and that's a good defense. Preseason game number 3, the Saints don't possess that kind of defense next week. They won't. And then the Cowboys won't be throwing out any of their starters. So then again, it's going to be tonight's kind of put a real damper on the starting quarterback. I think the starting quarterback should be Ryan Mallett. He's really worked on his accuracy. He's got the tools to be a franchise quarterback. He's got the size. He's got the arm strength. But then again, who does O'Brien feel like gives the Texans the best chance to win? I think Hoyer's really good. I mean, this is going to be a tough choice. But again, when the big bright lights of the regular season come on, who does O'Brien feel comfortable throwing out there? And I'd feel more comfortable with Mallett because I need to know. Because to me, the Texans need to know if they've got a franchise quarterback on their roster or not. If they go with Hoyer, then they're saying, no, we don't have a franchise quarterback. We need to look to the draft again. Savage should be in the conversation. He's had a good camp. He's had a good couple of preseason games. I mean, tonight he really screwed up that last possession. Not knowing you've only got 2 timeouts, you got a minute 44. You gotta be able to throw sideline to sideline and get your guys in position to get out of bounds and preserve those timeouts. But then Denver did a good job on that last possession defensively, keeping the Texans in the middle of the field. So A lot of things need to happen. But I'll ask y'all, who do you think the Texans should put out to start as their quarterback? I think it should be Ryan Mallett. I don't know who O'Brien is thinking, but what are y'all thinking? And what do you think? What's your take on the Houston Astros? I mean, do you take them as a legit contender? Now I'll go ahead and touch on this a little bit. The Astros, if they could prove on the road, they could become a serious threat come playoff time. They could. They got a 10-game road trip in September. It's all division opponents. It's Oakland, it's Texas, it's Anaheim, or the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. Excuse me. That's gonna be a crucial road trip, but that's not till September. But they got a little 6-game trip with the Yankees and the Twins after tomorrow's game against the Dodgers. You can catch me. Check out my sports blog at samdarley.sportsblog.com. And this has been Sam Darley breaking down the Houston Texans and the Denver Broncos, the Houston Astros, and the playoff chances, and what's going on with the Dodgers, and all the things that are going on in sports. Thanks for watching.